Arnie's story really hit close to home, touched my heart. Stolen generation affects a lot more Aboriginal families than people would think. From my personal experience, I had 3 generations of family part of stolen generation. My great-great-nan, my great-nan and my nan were all removed from their families. So my great-great-nan and my great-nan were taken to Cootamundra Girls' Home, and my nan was sent to Brewarrina. So Arnie's story brought up some emotions. I was over there crying. Hearing my nan's stories as well makes me cry. From experience from the Cootamundra Girls' Home, above every doorway it said, "Think white, be white." Imagine growing up looking black and people trying to tell you you're white or Spanish or Italian, not knowing your culture. It's a terrible thing.
I've heard it several times, and every time it still has a different impact. Every time there's sort of a new piece revealed, and every time I see the pain that she goes through to tell that, and hearing that, I suppose it's just that reminder to myself and of my responsibility to share with other people that this is something that still affects people today. It affects those people who went through it, who are still with us, and it affects their families, their children, their grandchildren, and hearing Arnie Mari's story is just that reminder that we have to keep making that present and keep making people aware that it's not something that was just, an event in the past, that it's something that continues to affect people and families today.
Our elders hold all our knowledge and all the things from the past, and if we don't pass it down, our culture would get lost. It's sort of like the relay race in the Olympics, they're passing the baton on to us, and then we keep passing it down, but if we don't capture these and we don't share them, then the culture and the knowledge will be lost.
So we learn from them, and we like Uncle Josh said, we can forgive, because without forgiveness, then we're just stuck in the same loop over and over again. And it's always good to hear stories of hardship, because without what they did, I wouldn't be able to teach culture, I wouldn't be able to learn culture. So it's always good to hear the stories. Because I'm African, most people say, you're not Aboriginal, you're full African, or you're Fijian Indian, or you're Cook Islander. I think with all Indigenous people, it's hard for us to focus in school, because we're not academic learners, where we learn on the street or in sport. That's our area, not school. So for me, fitting into school was hard, because I was very agitated. I always loved being outside, playing in the dirt, being with the animals. Well, sometimes before I do silly stuff, I think of my Uncle John and he goes, "That's not a black fella way." I'm just like, yeah, true. And then I don't do it. With Nan, she was always she always had the wooden spoon on me. So I had to be careful. So she helps me to think twice. And Mum was just always there. She was a caring person, and that's what our culture's about, caring and loving each other. So having them as mentors, as much as I don't show appreciation towards them, they do impact me.
The impact of having Aboriginal mentors in my life, it was massive. Connecting more to culture and learning, the right way to go about things really helped me get me on a straight path. When I grew up in Bathurst and I was hanging around the wrong people and sort of doing the wrong thing, sort of like a lost sheep, you might say. But when I met Jared through a Western Sydney University program, he really brought to light what I need to be doing as a young Aboriginal male and how to be giving back to the community and, setting that positive example. So he used to always say, if you're going out here doing these sort of things, the younger people are going to reciprocate what they see, and if you're doing negative, that's going to have a negative flow-on effect, but if you're doing positive, then they'll have a positive flow-on effect. And that's what really led me into the role that I'm in today, because I didn't want other young Aboriginal people going down the wrong road when we have so much to live for and so much to strive for.
In my role, we work with students generally from years 9 to 12 and looking at connecting them with any opportunities that can help them lead to their aspirations. So things like employment, school-based traineeships, university opportunities, TAFE any sorts of connections that can help them?
Yeah, so in my role, I feel I work heavily with the Indigenous communities at our school, but also take the time to try and build the capacity of the teachers and the other students as well, because as Uncle John always says, Aboriginal history and culture is a part of everyone's identity in Australia. No matter where you come from, that is the first people of this land, and that's the culture, the first culture, and that's a part of everyone's identity that grows up in Australia. So we go around and run cultural presentations within schools with whole year groups, teaching our culture where it fits into the curriculum for everyone, so making it inclusive for all students.
Without Gerara and Auntie Julie, I wouldn't be able to teach. So I go to primary schools and teach them about culture. Auntie Julie got me one day out of school so I could do cooking. But the whole idea of that was to help me focus in school. So Gerara, they have made a big impact for my schooling. My role is I have to learn to be able to teach and to be able to forgive, and pass it on. The more time I spend with my uncle, the more I learn and the more I can give to others. And a role model, but even though I'm not much of a role model at the moment, I know I will be.
We're all part of the one community working together. There's no feeling of responsibility being put back onto anybody. It's about actually moving forward as part of a community, whether you're Aboriginal, non-Aboriginal, it doesn't matter. It's about respect and recognition of what's been experienced by people in their journeys, and our role as a wider community together to move forward and to assist with that journey and reconciliation.
When I'm teaching, I feel a sense of pride and feel a sense of responsibility. I have an obligation to our elders to pass it on, and a responsibility to the next generation too. It fills me with pride that I get the opportunity. I feel privileged, in a privileged position, getting to share culture and inspire the next generation.